Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we're discussing the Oklahoma City bombing with the help of author Jon Rappoport and his book, Oklahoma City Bombing: The Suppressed Truth. On the morning of April 19th, 1995, the Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City was rocked by a massive explosion. The devastation was immediate and horrifying. But even in those first chaotic hours, something didn't add up. The FBI quickly found a vehicle identification number in the rubble, tracing it to a Ryder truck rented by a man named Bob Kling. Except, Kling wasn't real. It was a fake name. By the next day, the FBI had sketches of the two men who rented the truck. Witnesses at the federal building identified one of them as Timothy McVeigh. But here's where things get interesting. McVeigh was arrested just 90 minutes after the blast, 80 miles away, for driving without a license plate and carrying a concealed weapon. The trooper who made the arrest discovered that McVeigh was carrying a loaded Glock pistol and a knife. Now, think about this. McVeigh is supposedly the man who just murdered 168 people, including children. He knows that if he is arrested, he would face the death penalty. Why would he meekly surrender to a traffic cop? The official narrative paints McVeigh as a lone wolf, a disgruntled ex-soldier with a grudge against the government. But the evidence doesn't support this. Witnesses at the Dreamland Motel in Junction City, Kansas, where McVeigh stayed, described him as quiet and polite, not the raving extremist the media portrayed. And then there's the matter of the bomb itself. The government claims a single truck bomb, made with ammonium nitrate and fuel oil, caused the destruction. But experts, including retired Brigadier General Benton Parton, a weapons design and testing expert, disagree. Parton wrote a detailed letter to Congress, stating that the damage pattern could not have been caused by a single truck bomb. He pointed out that some columns collapsed that shouldn't have, while others remained standing that should have fallen. This suggests additional charges were placed inside the building. The FBI's investigation was riddled with inconsistencies. For instance, a witness reported seeing a missile in the rubble, but this was never acknowledged. Another witness claimed to have found containers of mercury fulminate, a highly volatile explosive, in the building. Yet these reports were also ignored or dismissed. The media, too, played a role in the cover-up. Journalists who dared to question the official story were sidelined or discredited. One reporter from the Daily Oklahoman, who initially reported on the unequal damage pattern across the street from the federal building, later backed off from mentioning this after pressure from the paper's editors. The evidence does not support the idea that Timothy McVeigh was a lone bomber out for vengeance against the government. The explosion was too precise and too controlled. The building collapsed in on itself like a prepared demolition, rather than because it suffered from an outward blast in a pattern you would expect from a truck bomb. This suggests the presence of shaped charges, the use of which require expertise and planning. No, this was more than likely a sophisticated operation. Moreover, the FBI's handling of the investigation raises questions. Larry Potts, the agent in charge, had a history of controversial operations, including the Ruby Ridge and Waco incidents. His involvement in Oklahoma City raises concerns about the integrity of the investigation. The Oklahoma City bombing was a turning point for the Patriot movement. It was used as a pretext to push through repressive legislation, like the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act of 1996, which expanded government surveillance powers and eroded civil liberties. The bombing also fueled the demonization of the Patriot movement, painting all members as violent extremists. But the truth is more complex. The Patriot movement is diverse, with many members advocating for peaceful, legal means of resisting federal overreach. The bombing was a tragedy, but it was also a catalyst for a crackdown on dissent, a way for the federal government to consolidate power and silence its critics. There's another layer to this story that has been largely ignored. Witnesses reported seeing McVeigh with an Iraqi soldier in the days before the bombing. This Iraqi man was later identified as a former Republican Guard soldier, loyal to dictator Saddam Hussein. He was resettled in the U.S. by the Clinton administration. The FBI initially showed interest in this lead, but it was quickly dropped. But why? Was there a deliberate effort to downplay a potential foreign connection? The Oklahoma City bombing was not just a tragic event. It was a pivotal moment in American history. It was used to justify the expansion of federal power and the erosion of civil liberties. It was a tool to discredit the Patriot movement and justify further government intrusion into the lives of citizens. But the truth is stubborn. Despite the attempts to bury it, the evidence of a cover-up persists. The questions remain unanswered, and the need for transparency and accountability is as urgent as ever. As we reflect on the Oklahoma City bombing, we must ask ourselves, what kind of country do we want to live in? One where the government operates in secrecy, where dissent is criminalized, and where the truth is suppressed? Or one where justice is served, where the rule of law prevails, and where the voices of the people are heard? The answers to these questions will shape the future of our nation, and it's up to us, the citizens, to demand the truth and hold those in power accountable. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and share. And if you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to reach out. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep fighting for a better world. This has been a BrightLearn video from BrightLearn.ai on the book Oklahoma City Bombing: The Suppressed Truth by Jon Rappoport. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.